What's up, sucker? Okay. Oh my god, I cracked myself up. So anyways, today's DIY is Boho inspired, so if you want to know how to make this, keep on watching. Channel, it's Ashley here, and if you are new, hey girl, hey, make sure you click on that subscribe button and the notification bell so you always be up to date with my latest tutorials. So today's video is super easy to make. So today's video is super easy to make. No, it's not, because I have filmed this about 50 million times. But anyways, today's DIY is super easy to make. It's very budget friendly, and you're only gonna need to go to two places. That is the Dollar Tree and Target. First of all, when I got these decor plaques from Dollar Tree, I had a totally different plan, but you know, my mom was like, girl, no, and I'm super excited that it did because I love how this turned out. I think you're gonna love it as well, so let's get started. All right, so all three of the wood frames that I'm gonna be using are from the Dollar Tree. You can pick out whatever colors you want. They have different ones. I just got the white and the tan, and the first thing I'm gonna do is remove the center portion because we don't need it. And then I'm also going to remove the sawtooth hanger on the back because it's attached to the top and the backing, and that backing, we're going to be popping that out. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that piece that we just popped off from the back and we are going to place it on top, and then we are going to trace it out so that we'll have the exact size for the inside to where it'll be easy for us to push that back through to the front. All right, so now I'm just gonna take my scissors and I'm going to start to cut away what I traced, and you're definitely gonna have to do some trimming so that it will be easy for you to push this through the frame. So when you're pushing this through the frame, you do not want to push it all the way to the front of the frame. You wanna leave about maybe 1/10 or 1/2 of an inch of the backing away from that frame so you'll be able to add your succulents in there nicely. For the next step, you're gonna need some potty mix. So I picked this up from the Dollar Tree, and then I'm using my spray adhesive, and then of course my frame. What you're gonna do is you're just going to spray the backing with the adhesive, and then you're going to start to add that potty mix on top of it, shaking off some of the potty mix, adding more potty mix, shaking it off until you get a good coverage on your backing. All right, so now I'm just gonna be taking some white chalk paint, and I'm just going to be cleaning up my frame because it got a little brown. Now we're gonna start working on the succulents. So I got these succulents from Target. They were $1 each, and they have different kinds, but I just really like this one, so I got this. So I'm gonna remove the succulent, and then you can keep the pick on if you want, but I just decided to cut my pick off. And then we are going to add that to our frame. Okay, so when adding this to the frame, you just wanna make sure that you cut all of the pick off. So I'm just trimming the excess off, and then I'm going to remove the inner flower, and then I'm going to take my glue gun and I'm just going to secure it with the glue. And then after I do that, I am going to add it to the frame, and I'm going to do that to all of my succulents that I'll be putting on there. All right, so for the next part of this DIY, we're gonna do that same thing, removing the center portion of this frame. And then this time, I'm gonna be using wood stems to add to the center part of the frame. But before I do that, I'm just gonna take my white chalk paint and I'm going to paint the back so that I'll have a nice solid background. If you don't want to have like a solid background in a different color, you can definitely just use the pattern that this frame already has. So after your paint's dried, you can now start to add your wood stems. So I would recommend maybe getting 2 packs of wood stems, so you'll have a lot of different sizes and stuff that you can play around with. You can add these however you want. I'm just adding them kind of like in a straight line, and just play around with it, trying to fit all of them in there. If you can't fit all of them in there and you're gonna need to cut a piece, you can. You can use your hand saw to do that, or if you have a miter saw, you could just take it to the miter saw and cut it, which is what I'm gonna have to do with one of these pieces. So I'm just gonna mark it with my pin where I need to cut it, and then I'm gonna take it to my miter saw, cut that piece, and it's gonna slide right into place. All right, so the third part of this DIY, we're gonna be using this frame, and I'm going to be removing this center portion, and we're going to change the saying on it. So I'm going to be taking my white chalk paint again, and I am going to coat this. I did about 3 coats, just so we can have a nice solid background. All right, so now that my circle is nice and dry, I'm just going to take this saying that I created on Canva. You guys know I love to use Canva, and I'm gonna add it to my circle. So I'm gonna have this down below for you guys to use as well. But all you're gonna do is make sure you print it in reverse, so when you place it on top of your circle, it will read correctly. And then what you're gonna wanna do is take you some water and a paintbrush, and you're just going to brush over that with your water so that it will transfer onto your circle that you've painted. And to help with the transfer process, all you have to do is turn your paintbrush around and just start to trace over your letters. Big thing to remember is do not soak your paper. Don't drench it. Just do like a light coat of the water and then start writing over it with your paintbrush, and then you'll be able to lift it right up and it will, ta-da, transfer onto your circle. All right, so now I'm gonna use my Mod Podge, and I'm using matte. I like to use matte. It's matte, and it's just the best. What? So yeah, I just like to use matte Mod Podge. So anyways, all you're gonna do is you're going to coat this on top, and I'm gonna be using a painter's pen. So this is really gonna help so that my marker doesn't bleed when I'm writing on it, because it will. Trust me, I've done it before, especially if you're doing this on wood. You just wanna coat it with some Mod Podge first so you don't have that bleed. So after it's nice and dry, I'm just going to take my painter's pen, and now I am going to start to trace over my words. Definitely would recommend maybe getting a finer marker, because it's a little hard for me to trace over this, but I got it done because the letters were super small. But yeah, so now you're just going to you can use the painter's pen, you can use a Sharpie, whatever you want to use to get it done. Now I'm just going to take my sandpaper, and I'm just going to kind of lightly distress my edges to give it just a little bit more character. Okay, so now I'm going to keep the print that's already on here because I like it, but if you want to change it, you can. But now all I'm going to do is just take my glue gun and glue this right back in the center like nothing ever happened. And then what's so great about these is that they already have the sawtooth hangers on the back, so all you have to do is make sure that you put it on there the correct way so that you don't have to worry about moving your sawtooth hanger, and you're good to go. Alright, so that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you comment down below to let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!